Meeting of the Rights of Way Subcommittee, which is due to health and safety reasons, is being held virtually. This meeting is recorded and will be available via the Council's website to be viewed as soon as practical following this meeting. Everyone participating in this meeting will be accessing this meeting from remote locations. Please could everybody ensure that mobile phones are switched off or on silent mode. Members will have received an electronic copy of the agenda. I will ask officers to present a summary of the key points from the records. The agenda can be viewed on the Council's website. Members and officers will be speaking at various points during the meeting, and those speaking may switch their cameras on at that point. I will ask that, with this exception of myself as chairperson, all other times you keep your camera and microphone switched off, as this will help to minimize any background noise and interference and to ensure the connection remains as stable as possible. If any members or officers wish to raise a point or questions, they should press the hands icon on the screen hand at the top right hand side of Microsoft Teams window, and I will come to you in that order. I received questions. Please lower your hand once you've finished speaking. The chat button will be disabled for this meeting. Please do not use your microphones until I invite you to do so. Officers from Democratic Services will be supporting this meeting and will be monitoring the use of the microphones throughout this meeting, and when necessary will mute those not being used. I will also ask officers to introduce themselves as and when I invite them to speak during the course of the meeting. They should also ensure microphones and cameras are switched off and not in use. I will now proceed to the agenda business. And number 1 on the agenda is to receive apologies for absence. Anything, Michael?
Chair, I've had apologies from Leslie Meach and Bridgend Ramblers.
Okay, thank you very much, Julie, for that. Number 2 on the agenda, declarations of interest. Has anybody got any declarations of interest? Okay, that seems no then. Number 3, can somebody formally move the minutes of the Rights of Way Subcommittee of the 17th of the 3rd, 2022, please? I know you wasn't in that meeting, but you can move them.
I move.
Thank you. Somebody second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favour?
Yes.
Aye.
Right, thank you. Right, number 4, proposed diversion of footpath 16 and 17 and Esaldra and proposed part extinguishment of footpath 16 and Esaldra and proposed diversion of footpath 12, 16 and 17 Newcastle higher. Andrew, over to you.
Thanks, Chair. For those that don't know me, I'm Andrew Mason. I'm the Rights of Way manager. So I'll take you through the report, and then Matthew, my colleague, who's the public path officer, has got some photos that he can show you from the site so that you've got an idea of what the site looks like at the moment and what's proposed in the future. So the report requests authorisation for the making of 2 public path orders under the Town and Country Planning Act 1990 on land west of Mystake Road, Tondee. The implementation of the 2 planning consents as outlined in section 3.1 of the report will require sections of footpath 16 and 17 and Esaldra and footpath 12, 16 and 17 Newcastle higher to be diverted. In addition, footpath 16 and Esaldra will be extinguished. The plan in Appendix A shows the consent curtilage of the planning consent, and the sections of footpaths which are proposed to be diverted are shown by solid black lines on the plan in Appendix B. They're also identified in paragraph 3.2 of the report. The section of footpath 16 and Esaldra to be extinguished is also shown by a solid black line on the plan in Appendix B between points C, A and H. The same plan also shows the proposed alternative routes for the footpaths as dashed black lines, and those are identified in paragraph 3.4 of the report. An additional section of footpath is also being shown as part of the alternative route of footpath 12 Newcastle higher, and this is shown by dashed black lines between points P and G1. This is being created to link the main proposed alternative route for footpath 12 Newcastle Higher with an estate road that is proposed to be constructed nearby. Paragraph 4.1 of the report describes in detail that section of footpath 17 and Azaudra that is to be diverted. The route runs between points A and B, and the approximate length is 72 metres. The definitive width is 2 metres with a part natural and part tarmac surface. The proposed alternative route for the diversion of this footpath is described in paragraph 4.2 of the report. The alternative route runs between points C, D, E, F and G, and the approximate total length of the new route is 177 metres with a width of 2 metres. The surface will be tarmac throughout. Paragraph 4.3 of the report describes in detail that section of footpath 16 and Azaudra that is to be diverted. The route runs between points I and J, and its approximate length is 111 metres. The definitive width is 2 metres with a part natural and part tarmac surface. The proposed alternative route for footpath 16 and Azaudra is described in paragraph 4.4 of the report. The alternative route runs between points J, K and L, and the approximate length of the new route is 68 metres with a width of 2 metres. The surface again will be tarmac throughout. Paragraph 4.5 of the report describes in detail that section of footpath 12 Newcastle Higher that is to be diverted. The route runs between points M and N, and the approximate length is 454 metres. The definitive width is 0.9 metres, and the path has a natural surface. The proposed alternative route for the diversion of footpath 12 Newcastle Higher is described in paragraph 4.6 of the report, and the alternative route runs between points O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V and N. The approximate total length of the new route is 428 metres with a width of 2 metres. The surface will be tarmac throughout. Paragraph 4.7 of the report describes in detail that section of footpath 16 Newcastle Higher that is to be diverted, with the route running between points W and X, and the approximate length being 121 metres. The definitive width is 1.5 metres with a natural surface. The proposed alternative route for the diversion of footpath 16 Newcastle Higher is described in paragraph 4.8 of the report. The alternative route runs between points W, Y and Z, and the approximate total length of the new route is 253 metres, with again a width of 2 metres, but this time the footpath will have a natural surface throughout. Paragraph 4.9 of the report describes in detail that section of footpath 17 Newcastle Higher that is to be diverted. The route runs between points I, A1 and B1, and the approximate length is 537 metres. The definitive width is 0.9 metres. The proposed alternative route for the diversion of this particular section of footpath 17 Newcastle Higher is described in paragraph 4.10 of the report. The alternative route run between points I, C1, D1, E1, F1 and B1. The approximate total length of the new route is 566 metres with a width of 2 metres, and the footpath will have a tarmac surface throughout. The section of footpath 16 and Azaudra to be extinguished is described in paragraph 4.11. It runs between points C, A and H and is approximately 127 metres long. The additional section of footpath to be created is described in paragraph 4.12 of the report. It runs between points P and G1 and is actually only 37 metres long rather than the 110 metres that was stated in the report. It has a width of 2 metres and will be a tarmac surface throughout. The diversion of the footpaths was originally discussed in February 2020 when the landowner and agent for the applicant sought advice from the Rights of Way section for the possible diversion of the footpaths following comments made by the Rights of Way section in regards to the planning application P16366 OUT. As a result of those discussions, the agent submitted a proposal for the diversion of the footpath. During those discussions, the rights of way section noted that if the proposed diversions were to be successful, this would leave footpath 16 as a route with an anomaly. This anomaly relates to that section of footpath 16 and Azowdra, which is currently obstructed by a building and compound between points I and J, as shown on the plan in Appendix B. At that time, footpath 16 and Azowdra was in the process of being registered as a public footpath, having been the subject of an application for a definitive map modification order. The order had been made on the 25th of March 2019, but had not yet been confirmed. The order was subsequently confirmed on the 26th of March 2021. Although the obstruction of the footpath is outside of the boundary of the development, the rights of way section discussed with the applicant the possibility of including a small diversion of that section of the claimed footpath at the time as part of the application. The applicant then sought permission from the adjoining landowner in February and March 2021, asking to divert the claimed footpath onto their land. Subsequently, a phone call was received from the adjoining landowner on the 13th of March 2021, confirming that they had no objection to the proposal. The applicant's application to divert those sections of footpaths in Azowdra and Newcastle Higher outlined in the report, as well as part extinguishment of footpath 16 and Azowdra, was submitted on the 16th of March 2021. Following receipt of the diversion application and in accordance with its procedures, the rights of way section consulted the local members, Azowdra Community Council, Newcastle Higher Community Council, the British Horse Society, Bridgend Ramblers, other user groups and interested bodies, South Wales Police and public utilities. During the consultation process, numerous representations were received in relation to the proposed diversion. No objections were received from Bridgend Ramblers, Wales and West Utilities and South Wales Police. No replies were received from either of the community councils. The diversion of various sections of footpath 16 and 17 on Azowdra and footpaths 12, 16 and 17 Newcastle Higher, and the extinguishment of a part of footpath 16 and Azowdra are required in order to facilitate the reserved matters to P 16336 OUT for 405 residential units, Link Road and temporary car park at land west of Maesteg Road, Tondy. A short section of path linking one of the estate roads and the proposed diversion of footpath Newcastle Higher will also be created. The Welsh Government guidance for local authorities on public rights of way from August 2016 states, before making an order, the council must be satisfied that it is necessary to do so in order to enable development to be carried out in accordance with planning permission that has been granted. As members may be aware, it should not be assumed that an order should be made simply because planning permission has been granted. In coming to a judgment as to whether to make an order, the following should be taken into account: the interests of the general public, the potential effects of the order on some members of the public, such as occupiers of property adjoining the highway, and any potential financial loss to members of the public. In regard to the three considerations I've just outlined, members are advised of the following. The council is aware that the overall length of the network in this area as a result of the proposed diversions, part extinguishment and proposed creation of the routes as indicated in paragraphs 4.1 to 4.12 of the report is approximately 107 metres, not 175 as stated in the report, because of the previous matter that I said about the creation of the route being shorter. And that is what is currently shown in the definitive map and in the recent definitive map modification order. However, a large proportion of the routes are currently unusable by members of the public due to the current nature of the site. In the long term, the proposed diversions, part extinguishment and creation enables the rights of way network in the area to be enjoyed by the public and protected from obstruction. It also enables the network to be accurately recorded and maintained. For these reasons, it is considered that the test that the proposal is in the interest of the public can be said to be satisfied. There does not appear to be any additional effects of the order on any adjoining properties, and the council is unaware of any potential financial loss to members of the public. The developer will be responsible for any works that are required to provide the diversions and the provision of the new routes. It is considered that there is no effect upon policy framework and procedure rules. An equality impact assessment screening has identified that there would be no negative impact on those with one or more of the protected characteristics, on socio-economic disadvantage, or the use of the Welsh language. It is therefore not necessary to carry out a full EIA of the policy or proposal. The Wellbeing of Future Generations Wales Act 2015 assessment template has been completed, and the summary of the implications from the assessment relating to the 5 ways of working is outlined in the report in respect of the proposal. Any financial arisings from the above procedures are expected to be minimal, as the developer will be meeting the cost of the diversion and extinguishment order process and the implementation of any works required by the council. Now, as I said, I can hand over to Matthew if members would like, just to see some photos of the site.
I think that would be appropriate, Andrew.
No problem.
If you just bear me one moment, Chair, please. I will just share my screen. If you could let me know when you can see the screen, I'd be most grateful.
I can see a picture now, yes. Current view of footpath 17 and Ysawdra.
Yes, so what I've done is I've labelled each photo with the points that relate to the map in Appendix B. So if you look at that at the same time, if you're able to, it will give you an idea of where I was looking at that time.
Okay.
So as you can see here, this is the current view of footpath 17 and Ysawdra. Looking south, as I call it, from point G to A, the main road is just behind me. I'll continue on. Footpath 16 and Ysawdra, this is the section to be stopped up. And as you can see, the current conditions of natural surface and overgrowth. Footpath 16 and Ysawdra once again. This is looking from, it says point A to H. So that photo on the left is looking up towards the road, and then point H to A, the photo on the right, is looking down from the road. This is now footpath. This is still footpath 16 on Ysawdra, I apologise. And this is the section to be diverted, as well as showing the new route. The first photo on the left looks up towards a section of the footpath which is to be maintained and to stay like that. And on the right, you can see that the obstruction of the yard compound directly in front of the view there, behind the fence line. This photo now shows footpath 16 and Ysawdra, as well as footpath 17 Newcastle Higher. If I could explain firstly, footpath 17 Newcastle Higher is on the left and is referred to as the cycle track, whereas footpath 16 and Ysawdra is obstructed by dense vegetation, as can be seen in the photo in the centre, leading up to the compound to the rear of it. This is now the proposed new route of footpath 16 and Ysawdra. The photo on the left, as you see, there's a change in tarmac there. On the right is the path coming down from the top of the site, and on the left we have the compound which is currently obstructing the footpath. On the right-hand photo, this is the end of footpath 16 and Ysawdra, where it joins onto footpath 17 Newcastle Higher. I apologise. This is now footpath 12 Newcastle Higher. As you see, it points M to N. There was thick vegetation, and by the looks of it, the people are not currently using the definitive alignment, but have a desire line that they were walking. If you can see the hand on the screen, It's currently showing where the stile is on site. After crossing the stile or walking around the other side of the stile, this is the view of footpath 12 Newcastle Higher, looking west. And in the same spot, turning around again, this is the view looking east back to the stile. As you see, there is the proposed diversion of footpath 16 and Soudra as well. This is current view of footpath 16 Newcastle Higher. This is from the footway at Race Lath, looking out onto the site, and as you see, it is labelled. There are works ongoing, and there is temporary closure in place. This is more of a panoramic shot showing the site in question. So these are some current shots of footpath 17 Newcastle Higher as well, to show what we currently have. So that, as members may be aware, that is looking down towards the old railway bridge and the main road. And these different shots along the route. And now we come along to the aerial photographs kindly given to us by Clanmore Development. And as you can see, this one is what was an aerial view of the site prior to any works being carried out. This one shows the approximate alignment of footpaths 12 and 16 Newcastle Higher. This photo is overlaid with the site layout, the approximate location of the site layout, and how the new route shown in white would look on the site. And this is a current aerial view of the site in question. As I previously said, there is currently a temporary closure order on footpath 12 and 16 Newcastle Higher whilst works have been undertaken. Thank you.
Thank you, Matthew. Andrew, how do you want to proceed now? Do you want anybody to ask questions now?
Yes, Chair, I'm quite happy to take any questions from members.
Well, let's start first. Then, Jane, you want to come in?
Chair, I think if Andrew can read out the recommendation and then the motion is moved then before we have any debate.
Right, okay.
Yeah, no problem. The recommendation is that authorization be given for the Chief Officer, Legal and Regulatory Services, HR and Corporate Policy to make the necessary order to seek to divert footpaths 16 and 17 and Azaudra, and footpaths 12, 16 and 17 Newcastle Higher, and to create an additional link footpath as shown on the plan in Appendix B to the report, and to confirm the order provided no objections or representations are made within the prescribed period, or if any so made are withdrawn. That authorization be given for the Chief Officer, Legal and Regulatory Services, HR and Corporate Policy to make the necessary order to seek to part extinguish footpath 16 and Azaudra as shown on the plan in Appendix B to the report, and to confirm the order provided no objections or representations are made within the prescribed period, or if any so made are withdrawn. That the Chief Officer, Legal and Regulatory Services, HR and Corporate Policy be authorised to forward the order or orders to the Welsh Government for determination if any objections received are not withdrawn, and that the orders excludes any section of the diversion which utilises highway which are maintainable by Bridgend Canterbury Council as public rights of way already exist over them.
Can somebody formally move that recommendation, please?
I'll move.
Thank you. Second, somebody second it, please. Okay, nobody wants to second it. Jane, what do we do now?
I think we need to clarify if there is nobody who is prepared to second the motion.
Well, I have asked. Is anybody prepared to second the motion? As chair, can I second it, Jane?
Yes, you can, yes.
Okay, I'll second the motion then.
And if you can proceed then to any questions.
Yes, any members got any questions, please, for Andrew or Matthew? Councillor John.
Thank you, Chair. Only a couple of quick questions. Andrew used the terms natural surface and tarmac on a 2-metre stretch. What sort of proportionality is the tarmac and the natural surface? A couple of little questions, really. Do any of the pathways require lighting? Because that hasn't been mentioned potentially for vulnerable adults in the evening, especially coming into winter time. And who's it going to be maintained by? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor John. Good questions. Andrew?
Thank you, Councillor. In terms of future maintenance, then that would be the responsibility of the rights of way section. Once the paths have been put in, the new paths have been put in to our satisfaction, there will be something in the order which, although the order becomes confirmed, it won't actually become our responsibility until we as the rights of way section issue a certificate of satisfactory compliance. So at that point it will become the responsibility, the maintenance responsibility will become the rights of way sections. But as I say, until the paths are put in to our satisfaction, then that won't happen. In terms of part natural and part tarmac, I believe that probably is on one of the current routes. I don't think it's one of the new routes. So the new routes will either be wholly tarmac or natural. And I think the majority are going to be tarmac routes, and only one path, footpath 16, Newcastle Higher, is going to have a natural surface. So the whole of that will be natural, the diverted route. I believe the whole of the other routes, new routes, are going to be tarmac. Maybe Matthew, if that's not correct, can contradict me there, because he's the one that's been involved in this report, but I believe that's the situation. In terms of lighting, the council doesn't have a statutory duty to light public rights of way, and there are no plans for the routes that we are part of this diversion to be lit, apart from one section of footpath 12 Newcastle Higher, and that is a short section, I believe, from point P on the plan in Appendix B, where it leads in a west-southwesterly direction. It does abut an estate footway or an estate road, and that section there, it will be lit. I think there are 3 lighting columns on that section, and there's 1 or 2 lighting columns on the new link path that is proposed between points P and G1. For the rest of the routes, there are no proposals for lighting.
Thank you, Andrew. Can I ask a supplementary on that, please? There is an underpass that was mentioned. Is there no lighting going in that underpass underneath the bridge, the old railway bridge?
No, that because that route is currently in use at the moment, and there's never been any lighting on that. It's only a matter of 3 meters, I think, something like that. So it's not, and in fact, no, there's no lighting going in there.
Okay, thank you for that. Any other questions regarding the issues from anybody? Well, you've heard the recommendation and it's been moved and seconded. Are we all in favour of the recommendation, please?
Aye.
Yes.
Okay, thank you for that then. That's passed, Andrew.
Thank
So
you.
we're going to number 5, proposed diversion of footpath 19, Coy Church Lower, and proposed part extinguishment of footpath 18, Coy Church Lower.
Thank you, Chair. This report seeks authorisation to revoke the original decision in regard to the proposed diversion of footpath 19, Coy Church Lower, and proposed part extinguishment of footpath 18, Coy Church Lower, made by the Rights of Way Subcommittee on the 5th of October 2021, and requests authorisation for the making of 2 orders pursuant to Section 257, Diversion, and Section 258, Extinguishment of the Town and Country Planning Act 1990 on land east of the A48 at Crackhill, Newcastle, Bridgend. The implementation of the various planning consents as outlined in section 3.1 of the report will require a section of footpath 19 Coy Church Lower to be diverted. To enable footpath 19 Coy Church Lower to be diverted as proposed by the applicant, it will also be necessary to extinguish a section of footpath 18 Coy Church Lower. This will maintain the integrity of the rights of way network by avoiding the creation of a cul-de-sac route. Additionally, the opportunity has also been taken during discussions with the applicant to create 2 link paths from Coy Church via footpath 19 to link into an estate footway and an estate link path. The 2 new paths will be created either by agreement or order using the council's separate powers under the Highways Act 1990. The plan in Appendix A to the report shows the consent curtilage of the planning consent. The section of footpath 19 Coy Church Lower, which is proposed to be diverted, is shown by solid black lines between points A and B on the plan in Appendix D to the report. This plan also shows the section of footpath 18 Coy Church Lower, which is proposed to be extinguished as a solid black line between points J and W. And for completeness, the 2 new link paths to be created are shown by dashed black lines between points A, M, N, O, P, Q and R, S, T, U and V. This matter was previously reported to the Rights of Way Subcommittee on the 5th of October 2021. On the basis of the information contained in the 2021 report, authorisation was obtained for the making of the 2 orders outlined in paragraph 1.1. At that time, the proposed alternative routes for footpath 19 Coy Church Lower were shown as per the dashed black lines between points A, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, and separately J, K, L on the plan in Appendix B. Prior to making the orders authorised by the subcommittee, the council's Rights of Way section were made aware that some slight alterations had been made to 2 sections of the proposed diverted route of footpath 19 Coy Church Lower. A gate that was due to be installed at the previous point E had actually been installed 17 metres to the west. In addition, the original alignment of the alternative route between points G and H had been shown as running through the new enhanced landscape planting. Due to these alterations, it is necessary for the matter to be brought back to the subcommittee for consideration. The proposed new routes at these 2 locations are shown by the dashed red lines on the plan in Appendix C. An amended plan, which will become the basis for the order plan and which incorporates the changes outlined earlier in this paragraph, is attached as Appendix D. Paragraph 4.1 of the report describes in detail that section of footpath 19 Coy Church Lower that is to be diverted. The route runs between points A and B and the approximate length is 615 metres. The definitive width is currently undefined in the definitive statement, and the footpath has a natural surface. The proposed alternative routes for the diversion of footpath 19 are described in detail in paragraphs 4.2 and 4.3 of the report. The alternative routes run between points A, C, D, E, Z, as opposed to X, which is shown in the report, F, G, H, and I, and separately J, K, and L. The approximate total length of the new routes will be 803 meters with a width of 2 meters. The footpath will have a natural surface throughout its entire length. The section of footpath 18 Coychurch Lower to be extinguished is described in paragraph 4.5 of the report. It runs between points J and W and is approximately 7 meters long. Members should note that a small section of footpath 19 Coychurch Lower, approximately 8 meters, will not be affected by the proposed diversion. The section of route not affected by the diversion is shown between points A and X on the plan in Appendix D. Retaining this link will provide access to the A48 and the existing rights-of-way network in the Vale of Glamorgan via the public footpath directly opposite. The diversion of this section of footpath 19 Coychurch Lower was originally discussed in April 2018, when the agent for the applicant sought advice from the rights-of-way section for the possible diversion of the footpath. As a result of those discussions, the agent submitted a proposal for the diversion of the footpath. However, the rights-of-way section were not happy with the original proposal, as this showed most of the proposed diverted route of footpath 19 Coychurch Lower using estate footways. Discussions then continued between both parties until the currently proposed alternative route was agreed in principle by the rights-of-way section. During those early discussions, the applicant informed the rights-of-way section that they wished to create 2 additional link paths within the development site. As a result, the rights-of-way manager agreed in principle to create the 2 additional link paths as public footpaths. The application to divert this section of footpath 19 Coychurch Lower, as well as creating 2 additional link paths, was submitted on the 18th of June 2018. Whilst preparing the documents to carry out a consultation in line with the rights-of-way section standard pre-order consultation process in 2018, the section noted that if the proposed diversion were to be successful, this would leave footpath 18 Coychurch Lower as a cul-de-sac route. Following discussions with the applicant, it was agreed that the extinguishment of a sort section of footpath 18 Coychurch Lower would be included in their application so that this potential anomaly could be resolved. Following receipt of the diversion application and in accordance with its procedures, the council consulted the local member, Coychurch Lower Community Council, the British Horse Society, Bridgend Ramblers, other user groups and interested parties, South Wales Police and public utilities. During the consultation process, numerous representations were received in relation to the proposed diversion. No objections were received from Bridgend Ramblers, Coychurch Lower Community Council, South Wales Police or Wales and West Utilities. Dŵr Cymru Welsh Water, DCWW, objected as they have apparatus in the area that is affected by the proposal. Discussions then took place between DCWW and the agent acting on behalf of the applicant, as all works that DCWW were concerned about would be carried out by the contractor appointed by the agent/applicant. DCWW then confirmed that they would be withdrawing their objection. Due to proposed changes to the planning consent P16549 OUT, which had previously been granted, a request was made to the rights-of-way section asking them to postpone the application to divert the footpaths until such time as a decision was made with regards to the new planning application P20269 RLX. The diversion application process was paused until the outcome of the proposed changes to the planning application was granted consent. Once consent had been granted, amended proposals for the diversion of footpath 19 Coychurch Lower were submitted. Further consultations on the amended proposals were then carried out as identified in paragraph 4.18 of the report. No objections were received from Bridgend Ramblers, South Wales Police, Natural Resources Wales, Wales and West Utilities and Openreach. DCWW objected for the same reasons as outlined in paragraph 4.15 of the report. Once again, the objection was forwarded to the applicant's agent, and following further discussions between the agent and DCWW, the council received an email advising that DCWW would be withdrawing their objection. During the preparation of the previous report to the Rights of Way Subcommittee for October 2021, the Rights of Way section was made aware that as part of the planning process, a number of areas within the development site were earmarked for new enhanced landscape planting. During further discussions, it became apparent that one area would affect the proposed diversion of footpath 19 and another would affect the section of footpath 18, which wasn't going to be diverted. In order to protect the saplings in the new enhanced landscape planting areas, the applicant landowner decided to fence off the areas with rabbit-proof fencing whilst they matured over a period of 5 years. The alternative would have been to use individual tree guards, but it was deemed more appropriate to use the fencing due to the size of the areas, the number of new saplings requiring protection, and the ease of ongoing maintenance. The Rights of Way section were advised that the rabbit-proof fencing would need to fully enclose the areas concerned, and that stiles were the preferred option to gain access to the areas, as any other furniture used, such as pedestrian gates or kissing gates, would cause a break in the fencing, which could potentially allow rabbits to squeeze through no matter how small the gap. As members will note from paragraph 4.28 of the report, the Rights of Way section agreed that they would allow the fencing to be erected and remain in place for a maximum of 5 years at both sites, provided the landowner agreed to the following 3 conditions. 2 alternative permissive paths to be created around the enhanced landscape planting areas, each with the minimum width of 2 meters for those not wishing to or able to climb over the stiles, which will be erected on the proposed diverted route of footpath 19 Coychurch Lower and the existing route of footpath 18 Coychurch Lower. The route would be maintained by the landowner for the duration of the fencing being in place up to a maximum of 5 years. The applicant landowner would install and maintain stiles in the fences at the points where the proposed route of footpath 19 Coychurch Lower and the existing route of footpath 18 Coychurch Lower pass through the enhanced landscape planting areas to enable those wishing to use the definitive alignments of the public footpath. The locations of the proposed stiles are indicated by 4 X's on the plan in Appendix E. The 2 stiles on the proposed diverted route of footpath 19 Coychurch Lower would be shown as a limitation in the order. The applicant landowner would remove the stiles at the end of the 5-year period, when the fences would also be removed. The council has received written confirmation from the applicant landowner agreeing to the conditions. With regards to the surface of the permissive routes, the council can confirm that they are of the same physical characteristics as the remainder of footpaths 18 and 19 Coychurch Lower, and as such would not have any long-term detrimental effect on users of the footpaths. No additional consultation has been carried out in respect of the slight amendments to the proposed alternative route as identified in paragraph 3.4, as these are only very minor and relate only to moving the proposed diverted route a matter of meters. The diversion of 2 sections of footpath 19 Coychurch Lower and the extinguishment of a small section of footpath 18 Coychurch Lower are required in order to facilitate the development of up to 71,441 square meters of B1, B2 and B8 employment, floor space including access, car parking, diversion of public rights of way, site remediation, drainage, landscaping and associated engineering operations as per planning consent P16549 OUT on land east of the A48 at Newcastle Bridge End. The Welsh Government's guidance for local authorities on public rights of way in August 2016 states that before making an order, the council must be satisfied that it is necessary to do so in order to enable the development to be carried out in accordance with planning permission that has been granted. As members are aware, it should not be assumed that an order should be made simply because planning permission has been granted. In regard to the 3 considerations outlined in the report, members are advised as follows. The council is aware that the new route will be 248 metres longer than the existing route, and that for the first 5 years, 4 stiles will be installed on the route. However, the stiles will be removed after 5 years, and during the time they are in situ, a separate alternative path without any structures will be made available. Consideration was given to diverting the path closer to the development, but this was not possible on the northern side of any potential building. And if the diversion was taken to the south of any potential building, the alternative route would have had to use the estate footways. As has already been indicated in paragraph 4.7, this was deemed to be inaccessible as the proposal would not have met current guidelines for the diversion of footpaths. In the long term, the proposed diversion enables the rights-of-way network to be protected from obstruction for the enjoyment of the public. It also enables the network to be accurately recorded and maintained, and will allow for the footpath to remain as a continuous off-road walking route for members of the public between the A48 and the county borough boundary. For these reasons, it is considered that the test that the proposal is in the interest of the public can be satisfied. There does not appear to be any additional effects of the order on any adjoining properties. The council is unaware of any potential financial loss to members of the public. The developer will be responsible for any works that are required to provide the diversion and the proposed diversion and the provision of the new routes. It is considered that there is no effect upon policy, framework and procedure rules. An initial equality impact assessment screening has identified that there would be no negative impact on those with one or more of the protected characteristics, on socio-economic disadvantage, or the use of the Welsh language. It is therefore not necessary to carry out a full EIA on this policy or proposal. The Wellbeing of Future Generations Wales Act 2015 assessment template has been completed, and a summary of the implications from the assessment relating to the 5 ways of working is shown in paragraph 7.1 of the report. Any financial implications arising from the above procedures are expected to be minimal, as the developer will be meeting the cost of the diversion and extinguishment order process and the implementation of any works required by the council. The recommendations are to seek authorisation to revoke the original decision in regard to the proposed diversion of footpath 19 Coychurch Lower and part extinguishment of footpath 18 Coychurch Lower, as shown on the plan in Appendix B to the report that was made by the Rights of Way Subcommittee on the 5th of October 2021. That authorisation be given for the Chief Officer, Legal, HR and Regulatory Services to make the necessary orders to seek to divert footpath 19 Coychurch Lower and to part extinguish footpath 18 Coychurch Lower, as shown on the plan in Appendix D to the report, and to confirm the orders provided no objections or representations are made within the prescribed period, or if any so made are withdrawn. That the Chief Officer, Legal, HR and Regulatory Services be authorised to forward the orders to the Welsh Government for determination if any objections received are not withdrawn, and that the order excludes any section of diversion which utilises highway which are maintainable by the Bridgend County Borough Council, as public rights of way already exist over them.
Can somebody formally move that, please? Recommendation.
I move.
that. Oh, I second them.
Thank you. Any questions regarding that? Number 5, proposed diversion of footpath 19 Coychurch Lower. Then we got any questions for Andrew?
No questions.
Okay, thank you for that. So all in favour of the application?
Aye.
Thank you all. Right, that's moved and seconded, Andrew.
Thank you.
Okay, I haven't got any urgent items. Andrew, you haven't mentioned nothing to me, so I will now
No.
duly officially close the meeting, Andrew.